Hey guys, so for this video, I'm going to talk about my review for Hotel Transylvania, which I believe is a good month or so old now. But I finally just got around to seeing it, with all these big movies coming out lately, I saw those instead. So I finally got around to seeing this one, and because my family wanted to see it too, I saw it with them also. Um, but anyway, guys, Hotel Transylvania is a film where all these classic monsters we've seen, classic monster movies like from the 50s, and like kind of the classic Universal monsters like Dracula, Frankenstein, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Invisible Man, the Wolf Man. All those guys are in this movie. And so this one takes place where Dracula actually has a wife and a daughter. And while the daughter was still a baby and the wife was already gone at this point in the story, and they explain in the movie why the wife was gone, um, they Dracula had this idea of what if we make this hotel where every monster around the world can come here and stay, specifically when society won't accept them for who they are, and they can stay here as long as they want, and it's strictly just for the monsters. So, like I said, Dracula's child, who's a daughter, um, is a baby at this point in the movie, and it takes place, in the present day after all that's revealed, and the daughter is now 118, and I guess in vampire years that's considered an adult at that point. Like it's pretty much our world. 18 plus an extra 100 is in vampire years an adult. So she's Dracula's throwing this huge party for his daughter, and they the hotel runs into the first problem they've ever run into, and that's a human wanting to stay at the hotel. It's forbidden. It's like kind of like the number one rule that they're not supposed to go against. But in order for Dracula's party with his daughter to go successfully, and not to make the monsters freak out, um, Dracula does allow the person to stay temporarily, but the rule is he has to dress him up as this monster to make other people think that he is a monster, and so that way nobody would be suspicious of this human staying at this hotel. As it progresses, the human is much harder to maintain than Dracula thought. Like he's always trying to fool around with stuff. He's A lot of the monsters are starting to catch on that he doesn't have a lot of monster-like characteristics. And so after a while, Dracula is trying to balance, how do I hide this human? How do I keep my daughter happy for her birthday party? It's also revealed later on that both Dracula's daughter and this human are starting to fall in love with each other, and Dracula doesn't want that to happen. So there's a lot of things Dracula has to worry about. He has his daughter going into the real world soon. She's starting to realize that she likes humans a lot. So there's a lot of things going on in this movie that Dracula has to take care of because it's not going to solve itself in this case. So that's about as much as I want to give away synopsis wise, you guys. So as far as positives and negatives go, and here's actually the first thing too you got to know. My dad doesn't like Adam Sandler, and like I said, he was at this movie because I saw it with my family. But as far as positives go, Adam Sandler's Dracula was actually very good in this. Um, like I said, my dad doesn't like Adam Sandler, and he was actually very impressed with the role that he took on in this. So if you don't like Adam Sandler, no need to worry about that because it's definitely not his kind of role. I mean, it's a role that finally works for him. I think it's quite clear that maybe voice acting should be the way to go for him. So Adam Sandler's Dracula was very good in this for sure. There were some very creative moments with the monsters in this. A lot of things that you can definitely tell they really took a lot of time in thinking how these monsters are going to interact with things. Um, it was just very well done and very clever. They did a lot of really clever things with these monsters in this movie. The film looks great. The design looks great. You can definitely tell Jenny Tarkovsky, who directed this movie, he did like Dexter's Laboratory and Samurai Jack and a bunch of other big things for Cartoon Network back in the day. You can definitely tell he was involved because the look looks so beautifully. The design looked great. You can definitely tell he was a part of this production because his designing and animation style is so unique. Um, so huge thumbs up to that again. I love the whole classic monster movie look that he managed to pull off in this. The voice actor and actress talents in this were very good. Another thing I liked is how they interacted with each other. It was quite clear that they it wasn't just we're gonna film we're gonna actually no, we're gonna record, this person's voice for the day, then we'll record this person's voice for the day, then we'll record this person's voice for the day. No, you can definitely tell whatever they did, you definitely got the impression that they were interacting with each other, even more so than you see in other animated films. And just you can definitely tell these monsters were interacting with each other. I really like that feeling. Even if they did record some voice acting on later days, however they mixed it together, it really felt like these monsters were interacting with each other, and I got to give them credit for that because that's very hard to pull off in animation, and they definitely pulled it off here. Um, as far as negative things go for this film, you guys, some of the reoccurring jokes got stale after a while. A common joke that kept on appearing in this film is Dracula in society is always known for going blah 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 blah, and Dracula gets mad about that. And when he actually goes out into reality in one scene later in the movie, everybody's going blah 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 when they reference Dracula, and things like that. I felt got really old after a while because it just kept on repeating itself after a while. And it's just like, can they have done that without just repeating that same joke all the time? Um, I really wish we could have learned the monster's abilities throughout the story rather than giving them standalone scenes where we just see these monsters show off their abilities. I think it would have made the story flow much better. It almost kind of ruined the flow of the movie because those scenes were there to just allow these monsters to show off their abilities. This was a problem specifically near the beginning of the film. It got better as the film progressed, but near the beginning of the film, they just were kind of showing off these abilities, and I really wish they could have showed us those maybe in later scenes. That way, the story would have flowed, and we could have learned those abilities later on. Some of the comic chaos went on for too long, and once again, that was something that happened near the beginning. Just a lot of comical chaos that was going on, showing that how zany the film could get. Doesn't really add to the storyline, but they were just trying to prove that how zany the film could get. Um, and they really didn't need to do that. I mean, I just would have preferred a clean cut story. Give me what it is, and don't worry about all that comic zaniness. Like I said again, incorporate that into the storyline. Don't just set out scenes specifically for those things to happen. Um, I gotta say I didn't have as much fun as Monsters Inc. or Nightmare Before Christmas. Still a fun movie. I really like it a lot. But as far as being compared to those two other films that are kind of in its zone of animated films of its kind, I gotta say this film unfortunately didn't live up to that. Um, so don't go into this film expecting something of that high caliber. The human love interest, I think Andy Samberg did the voice of him. I'm not 100% certain. The guy who is kind of the human turned Frankenstein looking character. I think he could have been more likable. I gotta say, I was watching this movie and I really didn't like the guy that much. I liked how he kind of like, oh dude, that's so funny, you really nailing that Dracula voice and all that kind of stuff. And this guy really thought like this hotel was this a huge scam. They were, it was just a regular hotel but set up as a kind of a Halloween theme going on. I liked that, but like once again, I didn't really care for the character himself. He was just kind of annoying. Um, and I know he was kind of meant to be that way. It was one of those things where he was fine the way he was, but I really wish they could have done something with him to make me like him as much as those monster characters, because I like the monster characters so much that by the time the scenes focus on him, they don't seem as interesting. So that could have been improved upon a lot. But overall, guys, I give Hotel Transylvania 8.5 out of 10. Very fun film. Like I said, don't expect the next Monsters Inc. or anything like that when you see this film. But it is still very good. If you're looking for a fun family movie for Halloween, this is definitely one to see. If you like Jenny Tarkovsky, who did Dexter's Laboratory and Samurai Jack and all that really good stuff on Cartoon Network back in the day, I think you'll be happy because it's definitely in that same design and animation style. So like I said, guys, Hotel Transylvania is very good, but be forewarned, there are a few flaws with it. But if you can get past those flaws, it's actually quite a fun ride for Halloween.